They shaved her head under fluorescent lights. Not because she was dangerous, but because she asked questions they didn't want to answer. Judge Alicia Monroe walked into that precinct wearing her dignity like armor, and Sergeant Kessler stripped it away with clippers and contempt, convinced her authority meant nothing inside his walls. She left humiliated, exposed, broken in ways the mirror couldn't lie about. But when she opened her briefcase the next morning, she saw something that made her breath stop cold. His name, circled on tomorrow's docket, assigned to her courtroom. The man who tried to erase her identity had no idea he'd just handed her the gavel. What happens when the victim becomes the judge? Subscribe right now, drop your country below, and stay with me till the end, because this story doesn't just burn, it transforms. Alicia Monroe woke at 5:30. She always did. The apartment was dark and silent around her. She stood before the bathroom mirror and practiced her expression. Neutral, professional. The face she wore when someone interrupted her or spoke too loudly in court. "Good morning, Your Honor," she said to her reflection. Her voice was steady. That mattered more than people knew. At the courthouse, she entered through the side door. The marble floors echoed under her heels. Officers clustered near the metal detectors, their voices low and easy. One of them glanced at her. He didn't nod. Alicia felt the small weight of it. She always did. In her courtroom, she took her seat and arranged her papers. The morning docket was routine, traffic violations, small claims, the kind of cases where justice felt like paperwork. "All rise," the clerk called. An attorney approached the bench. He was young and confident in the way that suggested he'd never doubted his welcome anywhere. "Ma'am, if I could just clarify—" "Your Honor," Alicia said quietly. "Right, Your Honor. Sorry about that." He didn't sound sorry. His voice was smooth and dismissive. Alicia made her ruling. The attorney left without meeting her eyes. Daniel Hart stood at the back of the courtroom. He was a bailiff now, but he'd been a patrol officer for 20 years before that. He watched the exchange and felt something uncomfortable move through him. He told himself it wasn't his place to say anything. Alicia continued through the docket. Every case was handled with precision. Every voice was heard. By noon, her throat was dry and her shoulders ached. She returned to chambers and sat in the quiet. Her phone buzzed. "Judge Monroe, this is Officer Pike at the 5th Precinct. We've got a juvenile in processing. Name's Marcus Williams. He's asking for someone to call his mom." Alicia felt her chest tighten. "What's the charge?" "Still determining that, ma'am. Just wanted to let you know." The line went dead before she could ask more questions. Alicia stared at her phone. Processing could mean anything. It could mean hours. It could mean fear that left scars no one would see. She closed her eyes and breathed slowly. Then she stood and reached for her coat. The precinct smelled sharp and chemical. Alicia pushed through the front door and approached the desk. A young officer looked up. His eyes moved over her professional clothes and landed somewhere near her shoulder. "Can I help you?" "I'm Judge Monroe. I received a call about Marcus Williams." The officer's expression didn't change. "1 second." He disappeared through a doorway. Alicia heard voices, low, deliberate. Sergeant Brent Kessler emerged from the back. He was broad-shouldered and walked with the kind of ease that suggested he'd never been questioned in his life. "Judge Monroe," he said slowly. Each word stretched. "What brings you down here?" "I'm following up on a minor in your custody, Marcus Williams. We're handling it." Kessler's voice was pleasant and empty. "Standard procedure." "I'd like to see the paperwork." "Paperwork's being processed." Alicia felt the familiar dance begin. The one where her authority became invisible because someone decided it should be. How long has he been here? Few hours, maybe more. Kessler shrugged. Time moves different when you're busy. I'd like to ensure his rights are being respected. Kessler's smile tightened. You think we don't know how to do our jobs? I think transparency protects everyone. Transparency. Kessler repeated the word, as if tasting something bitter. That's a big word for a small situation. Alicia held his gaze. Her heart was beating fast, but her voice stayed level. I'd like his mother's contact information. I'll make the call myself. That's not really how we do things. Then perhaps you should reconsider how you do things. The air shifted. Kessler's eyes went cold. I'll see what I can find, he said. He turned and walked away without hurrying. Alicia stood in the fluorescent light and felt watched. Officers moved past her as if she were furniture. She wrote Marcus Williams' name in her notebook. Her hand was steady. When she left, Kessler was standing near the window. He watched her car pull away. His expression said he was memorizing something. The next morning, Alicia filed a formal request for information. She used the proper channels. She cited the proper codes. The response came 3 hours later. Request pending review. Alicia felt anger rise in her chest. Pending meant nothing. Pending meant forever. In court, Maya Brooks appeared for a motion hearing. She was a public defender with tired eyes and sharp instincts. Your Honor, I'm requesting discovery related to my client's arrest. Officer Kessler's unit has been— Objection, the prosecutor called. Irrelevant to current charges. Alicia leaned forward. I'll allow limited questioning. Proceed carefully, Ms. Brooks. Maya nodded. She asked about body camera footage. The prosecutor said it was under review. She asked about arrest logs. The prosecutor said the timestamps were being verified. Alicia made notes. Patterns lived in the spaces between answers. After court, Daniel Hart heard 2 officers talking in the hallway. Their voices carried. That judge thinks she's special, one said. Kessler's got her number, the other said. They laughed. Daniel felt his stomach turn. He kept walking. That evening, Alicia returned to the precinct. She arrived after official hours because she knew bureaucracy had office schedules. The desk officer looked surprised to see her. Judge Monroe, didn't expect you back. I'm following up on Marcus Williams. Has his mother been contacted? I'd have to check with— Check now, please. The officer's jaw tightened. He picked up the phone and spoke quietly. Alicia waited. Kessler appeared in the doorway. His smile was thin and knowing. Judge Monroe, you're persistent. I'm thorough. Some people might call that something else. Alicia met his eyes. Then they'd be wrong. The silence stretched between them. It felt dangerous. Kessler's voice dropped lower. You should be careful where you come asking questions. Alicia's breath caught, but she didn't look away. Alicia stood at the precinct desk. The fluorescent lights made everything feel exposed. A young officer approached. Are you here to visit someone? The question landed wrong. Alicia felt it in her bones. I'm Judge Alicia Monroe. I'm here regarding a juvenile case. The officer blinked. Oh, sorry, I didn't— It's fine. It wasn't fine. I need to speak with whoever's handling Marcus Williams. The officer hesitated. He looked toward the back hallway as if seeking permission. Ryan Pike emerged from the break room. He was 29 and carried himself with the careful posture of someone still learning the job. Your Honor, he said. His voice was uncertain. I can help? Thank you. Has Marcus Williams been released? I'd need to check the system. Please do that. Pike moved to the computer. His fingers hesitated over the keys. Alicia felt the delay like a wall being built 1 second at a time. Kessler's voice cut through the room. "Judge Monroe, back again." He walked toward her with deliberate slowness. His eyes were cold and amused. "I'm ensuring proper procedure," Alicia said. "You're questioning our integrity. I'm protecting a minor's rights." "Rights," Kessler smiled. "Everyone's got rights until they interfere with safety. Whose safety are we discussing? Ours, yours, everyone's." Kessler stepped closer. "You keep coming here, people might get the wrong idea." "What idea is that?" "That you don't trust us." "Trust is earned," Alicia said quietly. Something shifted in Kessler's expression. His smile vanished. "Pike, check the system," he said. Pike's hands moved quickly. "Williams was released 2 hours ago." "See?" Kessler's voice was smooth again. "Everything's handled. You worried for nothing." Alicia turned to leave. She felt the weight of eyes on her back. Behind her, she heard the door click. She turned. Kessler stood with his hand on the lock. "Actually," he said, "we need to have a conversation." Alicia's chest tightened. Pike looked nervous. The room suddenly felt smaller. "About what?" Alicia asked. Kessler's voice was calm and terrible. "About respect." "Sit down, Judge Monroe." Kessler gestured to a chair. Alicia remained standing. "I prefer to leave." "I prefer you sit." His voice was pleasant. His eyes were not. "Am I being detained?" "You're being asked to cooperate." Alicia felt her pulse in her throat. She knew law. She knew rights. She also knew power didn't always care. "On what grounds?" "Interfering with police operations, repeatedly questioning our procedures, making a scene." "I made no scene." "That's your opinion." Pike shifted his weight. His face looked pale under the fluorescent lights. "Sergeant, maybe you should do your job, Pike." Alicia sat. Not because she wanted to, because standing felt more dangerous. "Thank you," Kessler said. "See? Cooperation." He walked behind her. Alicia heard his footsteps and kept her breathing steady. "You come here in your nice clothes," Kessler said, "acting like you're different, special. I came here as a judge. You came here as someone who thinks she can tell us what to do." Alicia's hands tightened in her lap. "I have every right. You have the rights I say you have, right now, in this building." The silence was heavy. Alicia heard a phone ringing somewhere distant. She heard Pike's breathing. She heard her own heartbeat. "I need to search you," Kessler said. "Safety protocol." "That's not necessary." "I'll decide what's necessary." Alicia stood slowly. She made herself speak calmly. "This is unlawful detention. This is procedure." Kessler smiled. "You're so concerned about procedure. Let's follow it." The search was invasive, deliberate, designed to humiliate. Alicia focused on breathing, on not crying, on not begging. Pike looked at the floor. His jaw was tight. When it ended, Kessler stepped back. "Now we're going to do a hygiene check. Standard protocol for detainees." Alicia felt cold spread through her chest. "I'm not a detainee." "You are now." His voice was final, like a judge passing sentence. Pike's breath caught. "Sergeant, she's what, Pike? Above the rules?" Alicia met Kessler's eyes. She saw hatred there, clean and certain. "Get the clippers," Kessler said. The room was too bright. Alicia sat in a metal chair. The clippers hummed. She focused on breathing. In, out, steady. Kessler stood behind her. His hands moved without gentleness. "This is procedure," he said. "For your safety. For ours." The first cut felt like a violation. Hair fell onto her shoulders. Then the floor. Alicia closed her eyes. She would not cry. She would not beg. She would not give him that. You kept coming. Back, Kessler said quietly. You made yourself a problem. The clippers moved over her scalp. The sound was mechanical and terrible. Pike stood near the door. His face was turned away. His hands were shaking. Look at her, Pike, Kessler said. This is what happens when people forget their place. Alicia felt something shift inside her. Not breaking, hardening. When it ended, Kessler turned off the clippers. The silence was worse than the sound. Clean yourself up, he said. Alicia stood slowly. Her legs felt unsteady. She walked to the small mirror on the wall. Her reflection stared back. A stranger. Her scalp was bare and vulnerable. She felt grief rise in her throat. Then anger. Then something colder than both. As she turned, she glimpsed a desk. Papers scattered across it. A case file. Badge numbers circled in red ink. Kessler's badge number. Her breath caught. She looked away before anyone noticed. You're free to go, Kessler said. His voice was satisfied. Unless you want to file a complaint. He smiled. It was the smile of someone who believed power was permanent. Alicia walked to the door. Pike opened it without meeting her eyes. She stepped into the night. The air touched her bare scalp. She felt exposed to the entire world. But she also felt something else. She felt the beginning of purpose. Alicia drove home in silence. The city lights blurred past her window. She didn't turn on the radio. She didn't cry. Nina was waiting at the apartment door. She'd texted, called, worried. Alicia, where have you... Nina stopped. Her eyes went wide. Her hand covered her mouth. Oh God, what happened? Alicia stepped inside. She removed her coat carefully. Her movements were slow and deliberate. I need to sit down. They sat on the couch. Nina's hand found hers. Her grip was fierce and trembling. Tell me, Alicia told her. Not everything. Not all at once. But enough. Nina's face moved through shock, then rage, then something harder. We're calling a lawyer, now, tonight. Not yet. Alicia, not yet, Nina's voice broke. They can't do this, they can't. They did. The words hung between them. True and terrible. Alicia stood. She moved to the bathroom and looked in the mirror again. Her scalp was still bare, still strange, still hers. She touched it gently. The skin felt tender. Nina appeared in the doorway. We'll get you something to cover it. A scarf. Tomorrow, Alicia said quietly. She returned to the living room. Her briefcase sat on the table where she'd dropped it. She opened it. Papers spilled out. The next day's docket. Her eyes moved down the list. Traffic cases, small claims, civil filings. Then she saw it. Civil rights complaint. Brooks versus City PD presiding judge. Monroe. A defendants. Sergeant B. Kessler. Officer R. Pike. 5th Precinct. Alicia's breath stopped. Her hands went still. The universe had delivered an answer she hadn't asked for. Nina leaned over her. Shoulder. She read the names. She understood. Oh, she whispered. Oh, Alicia. Alicia stared at the docket. At Kessler's name. At her own. Tomorrow she would have to decide. Recuse herself. Disappear. Let someone else handle justice. Or stay. Her fingers touched her bare scalp. The choice felt impossible and inevitable. Morning came cold and gray. Alicia woke before dawn again. The habit remained even when the world felt different. She stood before the mirror. Her reflection was still unfamiliar. Still raw. Nina appeared in the doorway. You could wear a scarf or a wig. Nobody would... No. Alicia, if I hide, they win. Nina's eyes filled with tears. If you don't hide, they'll destroy you. They already tried. Alicia dressed carefully. professional, precise. She chose a head wrap in deep blue, not to hide, to survive. Nina made coffee they didn't drink. She paced the kitchen. "Recuse yourself," she said. "Please, protect yourself. If I recuse, I'm saying they were right to hurt me. They'll say you're biased, vengeful. Let them." Nina grabbed her sister's hands. "What if staying breaks you?" Alicia felt her throat tighten. "What if leaving breaks me more?" At the courthouse, Alicia requested a meeting with Chief Judge Eleanor Whitman. The older woman's office was filled with law books and carefully framed degrees. "Alicia," Whitman said carefully, "I heard about last night." "Then you know why I'm here. I'm recommending you recuse yourself from the Brooks case." Alicia's chest tightened. "On what grounds?" "Appearance of bias, for the court's credibility." "My credibility was attacked in that precinct. Which is exactly why I should stay." Alicia's voice was quiet and firm. "If I step away, every officer who targets a judge knows the strategy works. Humiliate them. Wait for them to hide." Whitman's expression softened. "I understand your anger. This isn't anger, this is principle. The public will question. Let them question. Let them see what happens when power thinks it's untouchable." Whitman sighed. She looked older suddenly. Tired. "You're sure about this?" "I'm sure I won't trade my dignity for institutional comfort." Alicia left the office. Her hands were steady. Her heart was not. In the courtroom, she took her seat. The gallery was filling. Attorneys shuffled papers. Officers stood near the back wall. Daniel Hart watched from his post. He saw the head wrap. He saw her face. Something clicked into place in his mind. Alicia arranged her papers. The docket sat before her. Kessler's name, her name. The clerk called the room to order. "All rise." Everyone stood. Alicia looked across the courtroom. Her gaze swept over faces, some curious, some hostile, some afraid. Then she saw him. Sergeant Brent Kessler stood near the door. His uniform was crisp. His expression was confident. Their eyes met. He smiled. Small. Knowing. Alicia held his gaze. She didn't smile back. Her voice was steady when she spoke. "Be seated. We have a full docket today." Alicia moved through the morning docket with careful precision. Each case received her full attention. Each ruling was measured and fair. She sustained objections against plaintiffs, against defendants. She showed no favoritism that anyone could name. But the room felt different. Charged. An officer approached to deliver paperwork. His eyes flickered to her head wrap, then away. Too quickly. Alicia signed the document. Her hand was steady. Her chest was tight. "Thank you, officer." He left without speaking. The silence said everything. At lunch, Alicia returned to chambers. She removed the head wrap and touched her scalp. The skin was still tender. Still strange. Daniel Hart knocked on the doorframe. "Your Honor, quick procedural question." Alicia looked up. She'd forgotten the wrap was off. Daniel's eyes widened. He saw her bare scalp. The shock crossed his face before he could hide it. He looked away quickly. Too quickly. "I'm sorry, I should have. It's fine. What's your question?" But Daniel's voice had lost its certainty. "Actually, it can wait." He left. Alicia felt the weight of his discomfort. It was different from hostility, but it hurt anyway. That afternoon, Maya Brooks requested a brief conversation. She entered chambers with careful eyes. "Your Honor, I wanted to discuss discovery in the Brooks case." "Go ahead." Maya sat. Her voice was quiet, professional. "Kessler's unit has a pattern. Missing footage, creative reports, gaps where there shouldn't be gaps." Alicia listened like a judge first, a wounded woman second. The ordering mattered. Do you have documentation? Some, but the precinct's been slow to respond. Protective. Alicia felt something cold settle in her stomach. File a formal motion. I'll review it. Maya's eyes found hers. Your Honor, if you need to recuse, I don't. People will say, let them say it. Maya nodded slowly. Something passed between them. Understanding. Respect. I'll file by end of day, Maya said. After she left, Alicia sat in the quiet. She thought about Kessler's smile, his confidence. He believed she would run, hide, disappear. Her throat tightened, but her resolve hardened. She would not give him that satisfaction. Maya returned at 4 o'clock. She carried a thick folder. Discovery motion, she said. Body camera footage, station surveillance, incident reports from the past 18 months. Alicia reviewed the documents. Names repeated. Kessler's name appeared again and again. This is extensive. It's necessary. Maya's voice was firm. The pattern protects itself through paperwork. I'm asking you to cut through it. Alicia made notes. Her pen moved steadily across the page. I'll need to review precedent. Give me until tomorrow morning. Thank you, Your Honor. Maya stood to leave. Then she paused. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing. Alicia felt her chest tighten. We'll see if the right thing survives. After Maya left, Alicia worked through the motion. The language was careful. The evidence was damning. Daniel knocked again. This time he waited for permission. Come in. He entered slowly. His expression was apologetic. Your Honor, I wanted to apologize for earlier. It's not necessary. It is. Daniel's voice was quiet. I should have said something. In court. Before, I should have noticed. Noticed what? The way they talk. The way they look at you. I told myself it wasn't my business. He paused. I was wrong. Alicia studied him. His regret looked genuine, but regret came easy when the moment had passed. Thank you for saying so. Daniel shifted his weight. If you need anything, a witness, documentation, I worked patrol for 20 years. I know how things get buried. Alicia felt something shift. Hope felt dangerous. But she nodded. I'll remember that. After he left, Alicia returned to the motion. She read through affidavits, incident reports. The gaps were obvious once you knew to look. At 6 o'clock, she made her decision. She drafted an order for expanded discovery, preservation of all body camera footage, all station surveillance, all disciplinary records. Her hand paused over the signature line. This would escalate everything. Kessler would know she wasn't backing down. She signed anyway. Her voice was steady when she spoke into the empty room. Let's see what the light reveals. The next morning, a police union representative appeared at Chief Judge Whitman's office. His name was Marcus Doyle. His suit was expensive. Alicia heard about the meeting from Whitman's clerk. The conversation had lasted 90 minutes. At noon, Whitman summoned Alicia to her chambers. We need to talk, Whitman said. Her voice was strained. The union is concerned about the Brooks case. Concerned how? They're calling it a witch hunt. They're suggesting you have a personal vendetta. Alicia felt anger rise hot in her chest. Based on what evidence? Based on the timing, the discovery order, your... Whitman hesitated. Your recent experience. My assault. Whitman flinched. Your detention. Say what it was. Alicia's voice was quiet and hard. They assaulted me. They humiliated me. They violated every protocol they claimed to protect. Which is why you should recuse. For your own credibility. My credibility isn't the problem. Their misconduct is. Whitman stood and walked to the window. She looked tired. Old. Alicia, I'm not your enemy, but I have to think about the court, the public trust. If this looks like revenge, if this looks like justice, you mean? Justice requires impartiality. Impartiality requires truth. Alicia stood. I've issued fair rulings. I've sustained objections against the plaintiff. I've shown no bias anyone can document. The appearance matters. Then let's talk about appearances. Alicia's voice was cold. What does it look like when a judge gets attacked and the court asks her to hide? What message does that send? Whitman turned. Her eyes were troubled. That we protect our own. That we protect the institution over the people it serves. The silence stretched between them. Heavy. Dangerous. I'm asking you to consider stepping aside, Whitman said. Voluntarily. For everyone's sake. Including mine? Especially yours. Alicia left without agreeing. She drove home with her chest tight and her hands gripping the steering wheel. Nina was cooking dinner. The apartment smelled warm and normal. How was your day? Nina asked. Alicia sat at the table. They want me to quit. Good. Do it. Nina. Do it, Alicia, please, before this destroys you. That night, Alicia found an envelope under her apartment door. No return address, no signature. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The words were printed. Anonymous. We know where you park. Alicia's breath caught. Her hands shook. Nina appeared in the hallway. She saw the paper. Her face went pale. We're calling the police. Alicia laughed. It sounded bitter even to her own ears. And tell them what? Alicia drove to work the next morning with her heart pounding. Every car behind her felt like a threat. Every person on the sidewalk felt like a watcher. She hated it. She hated the fear that crawled into her routine. At the courthouse, she parked in a different spot. Closer to the cameras, farther from the shadows. Nina called during lunch. Have you talked to Whitman again? No. Alicia, I'm not running. You're not invincible either. Nina's voice cracked. What if they hurt you again? What if next time? Don't. What if next time they don't stop at your hair? The words landed hard. Alicia felt them in her bones. I'll be careful. Nina laughed. It was sharp and helpless. Careful didn't protect you last time. After they hung up, Alicia sat in chambers and tried to focus. The Brooks case was scheduled for a pre-trial hearing in 3 days. She needed to prepare. But all she could think about was the note, the parking lot, the way Kessler had smiled. Daniel Hart heard the rumors in the courthouse hallway, officers whispering. Someone said Judge Monroe was making trouble. Someone else said she should know better. Daniel felt shame crawl through him. He'd worked patrol. He knew the code. Don't question your own. Don't break rank. But the code protected men like Kessler. And Daniel was tired of being protected. That evening, Alicia changed her route home. She took side streets, checked her mirrors, watched for cars that followed too long. She felt small, hunted. Nina met her at the door. I want you to get police protection. Alicia stared at her sister. Then she started laughing. Real laughter, painful and absurd. Police protection, from the police. Nina's eyes filled with tears. She laughed too, bitter, helpless. They sat on the couch together. Nina held her hand. What are we doing? Nina whispered. Surviving, Alicia said. But she wondered if survival was enough, if living smaller was just another kind of defeat. Kessler had wanted her afraid. He wanted her contained. She touched her bare scalp, felt the tender skin, the exposed vulnerability. He'd succeeded, and she hated him for it. The pre-trial hearing began at 9 o'clock. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, officers, civilians who'd read about the case online. Alicia took her seat. She arranged her papers carefully. Her hands didn't shake. Sergeant Kessler entered in full uniform. His shoes were polished. His badge gleamed. He approached the plaintiff's table and spoke quietly with the city's attorney. Then he turned and looked directly at Alicia. His expression was respectful, performative, false. "All rise," the clerk called. Everyone stood. Alicia felt the weight of eyes on her head wrap, on her face. "Be seated," she said. Her voice was steady. Maya Brooks stood. "Your Honor, we're requesting expanded discovery related to disciplinary records and body camera footage from Sergeant Kessler's unit." The city's attorney objected immediately. "The request is overly broad and irrelevant to the specific incident." Alicia leaned forward. "Ms. Brooks, narrow your argument. Why is the pattern relevant?" "Because it establishes practice, Your Honor. Systematic behavior that shows this wasn't an isolated incident." Alicia turned to Kessler. "Sergeant, you're named in the complaint. I have questions." Kessler stood. He spoke with measured respect. "Yes, Your Honor." "How many use-of-force incidents have you been involved in over the past 18 months? "I'd have to check the exact number." "Estimate." Kessler's jaw tightened. "Maybe 6, maybe 8. "And how many resulted in disciplinary review?" "None that I recall." "None." Alicia wrote the word down. "How many involved body camera malfunctions?" "Your Honor." The city's attorney stood. "This line of questioning is relevant." Alicia's voice was firm. "Answer the question, Sergeant." Kessler's face was calm, but his eyes were cold. "A few. Technology fails sometimes." "How convenient." Alicia paused. "How many complaints have been filed against your unit in the past 2 years?" "I don't track that personally." "But you're aware complaints exist." "People complain about everything." Alicia felt her chest tighten. His contempt was barely hidden. "Answer the question, yes or no." "Yes, complaints exist." Behind Kessler, Officer Ryan Pike stood in uniform. His jaw was tight. His hands were clasped behind his back. Daniel Hart watched from his post. He saw Pike's discomfort. The young officer looked physically pained. Alicia granted Maya's motion for expanded discovery. The city's attorney objected for the record. Kessler's expression never changed. But when court adjourned, Daniel saw it. The small crack in Kessler's confidence. The way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes anymore. Something had shifted. Power had felt a boundary. Daniel stayed late at the courthouse. He told himself he was catching up on paperwork. But really, he was watching. At 7:30, a deputy entered the file room. Daniel recognized him. Tom Brennan, 20 years on the job. Quiet, reliable. Brennan carried an evidence envelope. He moved quickly through the aisles. Daniel pretended to organize files near the back. His heart was beating fast. Brennan opened a file cabinet. He removed several documents. Then he slipped them into the evidence envelope. Daniel heard footsteps in the hallway. Brennan froze. The footsteps passed. Brennan exhaled slowly. Daniel made a small noise. Deliberate. Brennan turned sharply. "Hart, didn't see you there." "Just finishing up." Daniel kept his voice casual. "Late night?" "Evidence transfer, routine." Brennan's voice was smooth. Too smooth. "Right, routine." Brennan left quickly. Daniel waited until the footsteps faded. Then he moved to the file cabinet. The label read, Brooks v. City PD, Discovery Materials. Daniel's hands shook. He opened the cabinet. Files were missing. Gaps where documents should be. He pulled out his phone and photographed the empty spaces. The sign-out log. Brennan's signature. Then he closed the cabinet and left. His chest was tight. His mind was racing. At home, he stared at the photos. Evidence was being moved, hidden, altered. He thought about Kessler, about the code, about 20 years of looking away when things felt wrong. His phone sat on the table. He could call Alicia, tell her what he saw, become the kind of person who chose truth over comfort. Or he could delete the photos, forget what he witnessed, stay safe in the silence. Daniel's hands tightened. He hated himself for hesitating. But he didn't delete the photos. He saved them, backed them up. And then he sat in the dark, wondering what courage would cost him. Alicia received a sealed envelope at her chambers. The return address was administrative, official. Inside was a memo. The language was bureaucratic and cold. Internal audit request, recusal review, Brooks versus City PD. Someone was trying to force her off the case. Someone with institutional access. Alicia felt anger rise sharp and hot. They couldn't beat her in court, so they were going around her. She sat at her desk and drafted a response. Not a defense, a disclosure. She wrote carefully. Factually. Without emotion she couldn't afford to show. On date, I was detained at the 5th Precinct. During this detention, I was subjected to a forcible hygiene procedure that violated my dignity and my rights. Sergeant Brent Kessler supervised this procedure. I am disclosing this incident on the record to ensure transparency and eliminate any perception of concealment. Her hands shook as she signed it. This would make everything public. There would be no hiding. No dignity preserved through silence. But silence was what they wanted. Silence was how corruption survived. She filed the disclosure with the court clerk. Then she walked into her courtroom for afternoon session. The gallery was full. Word had spread. Alicia took her seat. We have several matters on the docket. Let's proceed. The clerk distributed copies of her disclosure to the attorneys. Alicia watched their faces change as they read. Shock, discomfort, something that looked like respect. Maya Brooks looked up. Her eyes were bright with fierce approval. The city's attorney looked pale. He requested a sidebar. Your Honor, this changes everything. We need time to... To what? Alicia's voice was calm. I've disclosed all relevant facts. The case proceeds. In the back of the courtroom, reporters typed frantically on their phones. The story was already spreading. Kessler entered through the side door. He carried papers for a different case. Then he saw the disclosure. His face went still. Cold. Dangerous. Alicia met his eyes. She didn't look away. Kessler's jaw tightened. He turned and left quickly. Daniel Hart watched him go. The sergeant's confidence had cracked wider. That evening, Kessler sat in his car outside the precinct. He called his union rep, his attorney, the people who protected him. His voice was hard, certain. She needs to be stopped. 3 days later, Maya called Alicia's chambers. Her voice was excited, electric. Your Honor, we found something. A technician located partial backup audio from the station's secondary system. Alicia's breath caught. From the night I was detained? Yes, it's not complete, but there's enough. Voices, commands. We can prove what happened. Alicia felt hope surge through her. Real. Dangerous. Can you authenticate it? We're working on it. The technician is being careful. He knows what this means. Tell him to secure it immediately. Make copies. Store them off-site. Already done. Maya's voice was triumphant. We're close, Your Honor. Really close. After they hung up, Alicia sat in the quiet. She allowed herself one private moment, one exhale of relief. Maybe truth could survive after all. Maybe evidence was stronger than power. She left Chambers feeling lighter than she had in weeks. That night, she slept better. Nina noticed. They ate dinner together and talked about normal things. Plans. Hope. The next morning, Maya called again. Her voice was different. shaking. "Your Honor, we have a problem." Alicia's chest tightened. "What happened?" "The backup drive. It's gone." "Gone how?" "The technician went to retrieve it this morning. Someone had been in his office. The drive was missing. His supervisor told him to stop looking. Said the matter was closed." Alicia felt cold spread through her. "Who has access to that office?" "Anyone with administrative clearance, security, management, people who aren't supposed to ask questions." Alicia's hands tightened on the phone. "And the copies?" Maya's silence was terrible. "Maya, the copies." "There weren't any. He was going to make them today. He thought the office was secure." Alicia sat down. The hope from yesterday felt cruel now, like a trick the universe played on people who believed in fairness. "So we have nothing." "We have his testimony, but without the audio, it's his word against the system's silence." Maya's voice was quiet. "I'm sorry, Your Honor." After they hung up, Alicia stared at the empty space where evidence should have been, where truth should have lived. She thought about Kessler, his connections, his confidence, the way corruption protected itself through 1,000 small erasures. Doubt crept in. Not doubt in herself. Doubt that the system would allow truth to survive long enough to matter. Alicia arrived at the courthouse and felt the difference immediately. Colleagues who normally greeted her now looked at their phones. The hallway conversation stopped when she passed. In the elevator, 2 attorneys stood beside her. They didn't acknowledge her presence. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Alicia felt the isolation like a physical weight. Chief Judge Whitman summoned her before noon. The older woman's face was tired and strained. "Alicia, we need to discuss your options." "I have no options to discuss. The court is under enormous pressure. The union, the media, the mayor's office." Whitman's voice was careful. "People are questioning your judgment." "My judgment is sound. Your position is untenable. Step away temporarily. Let another judge handle the Brooks case. Come back when things calm down." Alicia felt her chest tighten. Temporarily means forever. We both know that. It means surviving this moment. Surviving isn't the same as living with integrity. Whitman's expression softened with something that looked like pity. Sometimes survival is enough. Alicia left without agreeing. She returned to chambers and sat in the quiet. Daniel Hart knocked softly. "Your Honor? Can I?" He stopped. His words fumbled. Years of habit trapped them in his throat. "What is it, Mr. Hart?" "I just wanted to say—" He paused. His hands opened and closed at his sides. "Never mind. It can wait." He left quickly. Alicia watched him go and felt the sting of his cowardice. That afternoon, she presided over routine cases. The attorneys were polite, professional, but their eyes held distance, as if standing too close might contaminate them. After court, Alicia sat alone in chambers. No colleagues stopped by, no friendly conversations about upcoming cases. The institution's soft abandonment felt as sharp as Kessler's razor. Nina called at 5. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine." "Liar." Alicia's throat tightened. "I'm alone here, Nina. Everyone's afraid to be seen with me." "Then leave. Come home. This isn't worth—" "It has to be worth something." The silence hung between them, heavy with love and fear. "What if you're wrong?" Nina whispered. "What if fighting only breaks you?" Alicia touched her scalp. The skin was no longer tender. Hair was growing back, soft and new. "What if not fighting breaks me worse?" That evening, she drove home through rain. The city looked gray and indifferent. She parked and walked to her apartment with her shoulders tight. Inside, she sat in the dark. The quiet felt enormous. She wondered if truth was worth this price, if justice could survive this much loneliness. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Give up, while you still can." Alicia's breath caught, her hands shook, but she didn't reply, she didn't run. She sat in the dark and chose to stay. Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the evidence envelope, about Brennan, about the photos on his phone. At 3 a.m, he made his decision. He called Maya Brooks and left a message. "I need to talk to you. It's about the Brooks case. It's important." They met at a coffee shop far from the courthouse. Maya arrived with cautious eyes. "What do you have?" Daniel showed her the photos, the empty file cabinet, the sign-out log, Brennan's signature. Maya's eyes widened. "This is evidence tampering." "I know. Why are you telling me?" Daniel's voice was quiet. "Because I'm tired of being the kind of man who looks away." Maya studied him. "This will have consequences. For you. For your career." "I know. Are you prepared for that?" Daniel felt his chest tighten. 20 years of loyalty, of brotherhood, of the code, all of it breaking apart. "I have to be." Maya made him write everything down. She documented his statement with the precision of someone who'd seen truth disappear before. "Keep your phone close," she said. "We'll need your testimony." After they parted, Daniel drove home. His hands were shaking. His phone rang twice. He didn't recognize the numbers. He didn't answer. That evening, he parked outside his apartment. The street was dark and quiet. He walked to his car the next morning and stopped. His front tire was slashed, clean, deliberate. Daniel felt his stomach turn. This was the message, the warning, the first receipt for honesty. He called a tow service. While he waited, his phone buzzed. Another unknown number. He answered. Heavy breathing. Then a voice. Low. Distorted. "You made a mistake, Hart." The line went dead. Daniel's breath caught. His hands shook. He thought about calling the police. Then he remembered he used to be the police, the ones who protected the code, not the ones who broke it. That night, he sat in his apartment with the lights off. Every sound felt like a threat. Every shadow felt like watching. He pulled up the photos on his phone. Evidence. Truth. The thing that should have protected him, but instead made him vulnerable. Daniel felt fear settle into his bones. But he didn't delete the photos. He backed them up again, sent copies to Maya, to his personal email, to a trusted friend. If they came for him, the truth would survive. His voice was shaky when he spoke into the empty room. "I'm not backing down." But he wondered if courage was enough when power wanted silence. Officer Ryan Pike sat in his patrol car for 20 minutes before making the call. His hands were sweating. His throat was dry. Maya Brooks answered on the third ring. "Hello? Ms. Brooks, this is Officer Ryan Pike. I need to talk to you." The silence stretched. Pike heard her breathing change, become cautious. "About what?" "About Sergeant Kessler, about Judge Monroe, about what happened that night." "Are you recording this call?" "No." Pike's voice was raw. "I just need to talk to someone who'll listen." They met at a park. Public. Neutral. Pike wore civilian clothes. He looked younger without the uniform. Frightened. Maya sat across from him on a bench. "Why are you coming forward?" "Because I can't sleep. Because every time I put on my uniform, I feel sick." Pike's hands shook. "Because I don't want to be the kind of man who laughs when someone gets hurt." "You were there that night?" "Yes." "Tell me what you saw." Pike told her everything. Kessler's orders, the clippers, the way Judge Monroe kept her dignity even when they tried to take it, the way Pike himself had turned away because looking felt too hard. I'm a coward, he said quietly. I know that, but I'm trying not to be anymore. Maya made notes. Her expression was neutral, professional. Are you willing to testify? Pike's breath caught. If I do, they'll destroy me. The Union, Kessler, everyone. Probably. I'll never work in law enforcement again. Maybe not. Pike looked at his hands. Then why should I do it? Maya's voice was gentle. Because it's the right thing, and because sometimes that has to be enough. Pike was silent for a long time. Cars passed on the nearby street. Children played on swings. The world moved normally while his entire life teetered. What happens next? He asked. You document everything. You prepare for deposition. You tell the truth under oath. And then you live with whatever comes after. Pike felt tears burn behind his eyes. He blinked them away. Will it matter? Will any of this matter? I don't know, Maya said honestly. But silence definitely won't. That evening, Pike sat in his apartment. His uniform hung in the closet. He stared at it for a long time. The badge gleamed. The fabric was pressed and clean. It represented everything he'd worked for, everything he'd believed in. It also represented Kessler's contempt, the code that protected cruelty, the silence that let injustice survive. Pike reached for his phone. He started typing, a formal statement, every detail he could remember. His hands shook, but he kept typing. Something shifted in his expression. Fear remained. But something else grew alongside it. Purpose. Or maybe just the beginning of self-respect. Alicia arrived at Chambers to find her door ajar. Her chest tightened. She pushed it open slowly. Everything looked normal. Papers on her desk, books on shelves. But something felt wrong. The court clerk appeared in the hallway. Her face was pale. Your Honor, security wants to speak with you. The security chief met her in the administrative office. His expression was grim. Judge Monroe, someone attempted to access your chamber files last night, using administrative credentials. Alicia felt cold spread through her. Who? We don't know yet. The login was legitimate, but the access pattern was unusual, like someone was searching for something specific. What files? Case files, personal notes, communications. He paused. Someone's trying to compromise you. Alicia's hands tightened. How widespread is this? We're investigating, but you should assume anything in your office might be compromised. After he left, Alicia sat at her desk. She felt exposed, watched, her private space violated again. She called Nina. Her sister answered immediately. Alicia, what's wrong? Someone broke into my chambers, accessed my files. They're trying to... Her voice cracked. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I'm not safe here. Nina's voice was fierce and frightened. Then leave. Please, walk away. Come home. Let someone else fight this. I can't. Yes, you can. You're allowed to protect yourself. If I leave now, if you stay now, you might not survive this. Nina's voice broke. I can't lose you, Alicia. I can't. Please. Alicia heard her sister crying. She felt her own tears finally break through. I'm scared, she whispered. I know you are. They keep taking things from me. My dignity, my safety, my privacy. What's left? Your life. That's what's left, and it's worth protecting, Alicia cried, really cried. Not quietly, not with dignity. She cried the way people cry when the weight finally exceeds their strength. Nina stayed on the line, silent, present, loving her through the breaking. When the tears stopped, Alicia washed her face in the small bathroom. She looked at her reflection. Her eyes were red. Her scalp showed new hair growth, soft and vulnerable. She thought about running, about choosing safety over truth, about letting someone else carry this burden. Then she thought about Kessler's smile, about every person who'd been hurt by the code, about the next judge who might face this same choice. She dried her face. Her hands were steadier now. Nina was still on the line. "Alicia? I'm here. What are you going to do?" Alicia's voice was quiet, certain. "I'm going to finish this. Even if it breaks you?" "Especially then." Because being broken by truth felt more honest than staying whole through cowardice. Her throat tightened, but her resolve held. Trial day arrived with rain and camera flashes. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters, protesters, people hungry for spectacle or justice or both. Alicia walked through them steadily. She wore a simple black robe. Her head was uncovered. Her hair was short but growing, visible. Cameras clicked. Voices shouted questions. She looked straight ahead. Inside, Daniel Hart secured the courtroom. He checked exits, positioned officers. His face was tight with tension. Maya Brooks arrived with her client. The plaintiff was a young black man who'd been beaten during a traffic stop. His eye still showed faint bruising. The gallery filled quickly. Standing room only. The air felt electric and dangerous. Alicia took her seat. She looked across the crowded room and established strict eye contact with everyone who'd look back. "This is a courtroom, not a theater. We will proceed with decorum and respect. Anyone who disrupts these proceedings will be removed." Her voice was steady, strong. The room quieted. The city's attorney stood. "Your Honor, before we begin, I must object to your continued presence on this case. Your disclosure creates an untenable conflict of—" "Objection noted and overruled. We've discussed this. The case proceeds." Sergeant Kessler entered through the side door. His uniform was perfect. His badge caught the light. He moved with the confidence of someone who believed power was permanent. His eyes found Alicia's. He smiled. Small. Knowing. Alicia held his gaze. She didn't smile back. She didn't blink. Something shifted in Kessler's expression. The smile faltered slightly. "Ms. Brooks," Alicia said, "your opening statement." Maya stood. She spoke clearly and without theatrics. She outlined the pattern, the missing footage, the creative reports, the culture that protected misconduct. She pointed to Kessler. "This man believed he was untouchable. He believed the system would protect him. We're here to prove otherwise." The city's attorney gave his opening. He spoke about officer safety, split-second decisions, the complexity of police work. Alicia listened to both sides with equal attention. She made notes, asked clarifying questions, demonstrated the fairness that would be her shield. When the break came, reporters rushed the hallway. Alicia remained in chambers. Nina texted, "I'm watching online. I'm proud of you. I'm terrified for you. I love you." Alicia typed back, "I love you too." Outside, rain continued falling. The city watched and waited. Justice hung in the balance like a verdict not yet spoken. The first witness was a policy expert. He explained procedures, protocols, the rules that should have protected everyone. "And when these protocols are violated," Maya asked, "what's the consequence?" "Disciplinary review, retraining, in severe cases, termination." "In your expert opinion, were protocols violated on the night in question?" "Objection," the city's attorney called. "Speculative." "Overruled," Alicia said. "Answer the question." The expert nodded. "Yes, multiple protocols were violated." Kessler's attorney cross-examined aggressively. He questioned the expert's credentials, his understanding of real-world policing, his bias. Alicia sustained some objections, overruled others. Her rulings were even-handed, unimpeachable. Daniel Hart took the stand after lunch. His voice shook when he was sworn in. Maya approached gently. Mr. Hart, describe what you witnessed regarding evidence handling. Daniel told them about the envelope, about Brennan, about the empty file cabinet and the sign-out log. Why are you coming forward now? Daniel's eyes found Alicia's briefly. Because I was wrong to stay silent before. The city's attorney stood for cross-examination. His voice was sharp, aggressive. Mr. Hart, you were fired from patrol, isn't that correct? I resigned. After multiple complaints about your conduct? After I refused to falsify a report. So you have a grudge against the department? Daniel's jaw tightened. I have a conscience. Those aren't the same thing. You're making accusations without proof. I have photos, documentation, witness statements. From whom? Other disgruntled former officers? Maya objected. Your Honor, counsel is badgering the witness. Sustained. Move on, counselor. But the damage was done. Daniel left the stand looking smaller, diminished. In the hallway during break, Kessler's attorney approached him. You just destroyed your credibility. And for what? Daniel's voice was quiet. For the truth. The truth doesn't pay bills. The truth doesn't protect you when you're alone. Daniel walked away. His hands were shaking. His chest felt tight. But he'd done it. He'd spoken. The words were on record. They couldn't be erased now. That evening, Daniel sat in his apartment. He felt exhausted, exposed, like he'd stripped himself bare in public. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. You're a dead man, Hart. The line went dead. Daniel's breath caught, but he didn't delete his statement. He didn't recant. He sat in the dark and wondered if courage always felt this lonely. The courtroom was packed when Maya made her announcement. Your Honor, we have recovered audio evidence from the night Judge Monroe was detained. The room erupted. Reporters typed frantically. The city's attorney stood immediately. Objection. We were not provided with this evidence in discovery. Because it was hidden, Maya said calmly. Someone destroyed the primary backup, but a technician had created a secondary copy, through a system the tampering didn't reach. Alicia's chest tightened. Approach the bench, both of you. At sidebar, the city's attorney was furious. This is trial by ambush. We need time to authenticate. You had months to provide this evidence voluntarily, Maya said. You chose concealment. Alicia made her ruling. I'll allow preliminary introduction, subject to authentication. The jury will be instructed appropriately. The audio played through the courtroom speakers. The quality was poor, crackled, but the voices were clear enough. Kessler's voice. She thinks she's special. Let's show her what special means here. Another voice. Sergeant, she's a judge. Kessler. She's a problem. Get the clippers. The courtroom went silent. The kind of silence that feels like a held breath. Alicia listened without moving. She heard her own voice on the recording. Calm, asking for basic rights, being denied. She heard the clippers. The sound made her scalp tingle with memory. When it ended, the silence hung heavy and damning. Kessler's attorney stood. His face was red. Your Honor, this recording is inadmissible. The chain of custody is compromised. The authenticity is questionable. This is a transparent attempt to introduce evidence of your client's contempt, Maya interrupted. Evidence your side tried to destroy. Alicia held up her hand. I'll rule after reviewing authentication reports. Court is adjourned for the day. As people filed out, Kessler sat frozen. His attorney spoke urgently in his ear. But Kessler wasn't listening. His eyes were on Alicia, wide, panicked, the confidence finally cracking. Outside, reporters surrounded both sides. Kessler pushed through them. Someone asked if he had a comment. This is a witch hunt, he said. His voice was loud, desperate. A vendetta against good cops doing hard work. But his eyes told a different story. They showed fear. Real fear. The kind that comes when power realizes it's not permanent. That night, Alicia sat in her apartment. Nina was with her. They didn't talk much. They just sat together. "It's almost over," Nina said quietly. Alicia touched her hair. It was growing back. Still short. But hers. "Almost," she agreed. Tomorrow she would issue her findings. Tomorrow the consequences would begin. Tonight, she allowed herself to believe that truth might actually survive. Alicia entered the courtroom at 9 o'clock. The gallery was full again. The air felt heavy with anticipation. She took her seat and arranged her papers. Her hands were steady. Her voice was clear. "I've reviewed all evidence, testimony, and legal arguments. I'm prepared to issue my findings." The room went silent. Kessler sat at the defense table. His jaw was tight. His hands were clasped. Alicia looked at him directly. "The evidence demonstrates a pattern of misconduct, systematic violations of civil rights, deliberate obstruction of justice through evidence tampering." She spoke for 20 minutes. Each finding was precise. Each conclusion was supported by record. "Sergeant Kessler, you are found in contempt of this court. I am referring your conduct to the State Bar for decertification proceedings. I am also referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal review." Kessler's face went pale. His attorney objected. Alicia overruled him. "Officer Pike, please approach." Ryan Pike stood slowly. He looked terrified and determined at once. "Officer Pike, you testified truthfully about events you witnessed. That testimony required courage. The court acknowledges that courage while also noting that silence was complicity." Pike's voice was quiet. "I understand, Your Honor. I hope you do, because understanding is the first step toward becoming the officer you should have been all along." After the rulings were issued, Chief Judge Whitman requested a brief statement. She stood before the courtroom. "This court failed Judge Monroe. We asked her to sacrifice her dignity for institutional comfort. That was wrong." Whitman's voice was steady but strained. "We are implementing immediate reforms, body camera requirements, independent review boards, zero tolerance for retaliation. This cannot happen again." The apology was imperfect, but it was real, and recorded, and binding. Outside, Alicia walked down the courthouse steps. Cameras flashed. Questions were shouted. She didn't stop to answer. The rain had ended. The sun was breaking through clouds. Alicia felt air on her scalp. Warm. Free. A young woman stood near the bottom step. She was maybe 25. Black. Watching with wide eyes. Alicia paused. Something in the woman's expression looked familiar. Hope mixed with fear. "Can I help you?" Alicia asked. The woman's voice was shy. "I just wanted to say thank you for not hiding." Alicia felt her throat tighten. "What's your name?" "Jasmine." "Jasmine, listen to me. They can take what's visible. They can't take what's yours." The woman's eyes filled with tears. She nodded, understanding something that couldn't be explained in words. Alicia walked to her car. Nina was waiting. They drove home through the city. The buildings looked the same, the streets unchanged. But something felt different. Lighter. At home, Alicia stood before her bathroom mirror. Her hair was growing back. Short, but hers. Natural. New. She touched it gently. It wasn't the same as before. It never would be. But it was growing. And that meant something. Nina appeared in the doorway. "How do you feel?" Alicia smiled. It felt strange and good. Tired, relieved, uncertain. Uncertain about what? Whether any of this will last. Whether the reforms will survive. Whether I made the right choice. Nina stepped forward and took her sister's hands. You stood in truth. That's always the right choice. Alicia wasn't sure she believed that completely. Truth was expensive. Truth required sacrifice. Truth left scars that would never fully heal. But she'd survived. And survival while speaking felt better than survival through silence. That night, she slept without nightmares. In the morning, she would return to court. More cases, more people seeking justice. The work would continue, the struggle would continue, but she would continue too, stronger in the broken places, certain in her uncertainty, whole in a way that hiding could never achieve. Her final thought before sleep came was simple. They tried to erase me. I chose to be seen.